This moment for the program Newsroom. The government of Cameroon do not know the number of persons that work in the public service. The government of Cameroon equally does not know the number of people that have been displaced internally in the country Cameroon due to the Anglophone crisis. Might sound funny, but that is the truth. And this is happening when there have been a lot of tension in the southwest of Cameroon, as the governor of the southwest, Bernard Okala-Bilai, set out yesterday to install the senior divisional officer for Libialem division. My name is Dominique Memengwakimo, and this is Newsroom. Let's take what have been making headlines this week in the country Cameroon and beyond with Regina Leke Tanda.
Unbelievable but true. The government of Cameroon does not know the exact number of people who work in the public service. This explains why ghost workers continue to receive money from the state each month while doing other things in their lives. How can this happen in a sovereign state like Cameroon that is expected to have long embraced digitalization and the computerization of all information in the public service? Who is responsible for this? What punishment awaits ghost workers, and how practical is the new measure to solve the problem? Newsroom zooms in this edition. The number of internally displaced people in Cameroon continue to increase due to the Anglophone crisis. Hundreds are squatting in odd places in Banga, in the Mongo division from the southwest region. They are running away from the military brutality and the activities of separatists. In the midst of this, the Minister of Territorial Administration says Ayoktabe Seseko and other Ambazonian leaders kidnapped from Nigeria are gaining weight in their detention cells in Yaoundé. To Paul Atanganji, getting fat in a prison cell means things are getting better in the crisis. And the Douala International Airport on the spotlight this week with controversial information on the imminent temporary closure. Civil Aviation Organization to visit the airport soon, but information has it that there is another renovation work in view. Passengers that use the airport say this standard remains inferior as compared to others elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Regina Leke, for putting together that particular package there. Headlines that have been making news in Cameroon this week. Time for us to welcome our guest for this edition of the program Newsroom. Let's welcome Tabby Johnson. You are the 4th Vice President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you. Also, I do admire your wonderful studio. It's fine. Thank you for inviting me, and I think we'll carry on the deliberations as usual. You
are coming from Yaoundé, where the elective convention of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party ended last week. It was an occasion to elect the 2018 presidential flag bearer of that political party, and equally some executive members of the political party headed by Professor Maurice Kamto. Let me ask you this question. What is the take of the CRM party as far as coalition of the opposition is concerned in Cameroon today?
To begin with, you rightly said we had our convention. It was prepared months behind, and fortunately it came to pass, and it's making headlines, the news. As regards the coalition, as you said, I think I would rather put it in this way. The CRM, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, is building a foundation for coalition. What do I mean as foundation for coalition? People look at coalition for presidential elections, but we look at it globally. We start from the bottom. When in the Elecam setup have bad laws, the setup is not good. It's made of one party. And then if we have a coalition of political parties coming together, going to storm the political administration, saying that this is not good, it will sound more better than if my party goes today, Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, another party goes, it will not be in block. So that's another coalition. The second coalition is, if we are coming for council elections, we can say, okay, where you pay well, you can support this party, can support this party. That's another coalition. The third coalition is a parliamentary seat. We can say equally that maybe in this Douala 1 or Yaoundé, this party is well equipped. This party has militants. We can rally behind this party to get, all one is to get the opposition majority inside the house.
What Cameroonians expect is a coalition that will unseat the present regime.
That is possible.
Through the ballot boxes.
Yeah, I say we've animated it. We start from bottom to top. When it comes to that top, the leaders will now sit down and see if it is possible. It is sometimes possible, but in Cameroon, you know, it's very, very impossible. When they see 2, 3 people come together, there's always money to separate them. They will start to buy A or B to separate them. So it is impossible. With the leaders, it is possible. With the setup in the government, it's impossible. They will surely want to destroy, and that's what I've been doing, to destroy political parties, not to come together for a common goal.
Many people believe that the Cameroon Nation Movement Party is a regional party, just for the West region.
I say that is maybe what you think. Why is so many people, including you?
But
many people, including you.
I'm here to ask the question. You answer.
Yeah, I'm answering. Just looking at what happened, our convention. It didn't say something to you that the come out, the out 10 was marvelous. In the Congress, we occupy all the seats. And I think we had an inauguration, people call to congratulate us. That they think in just 5 years of existence, the parties have done 30 years. In 5 years, we have pulled down a crowd that is equal to those who have visited for 20 years. In 5 years, our party is all over the 10 regions, well situated. We have all over 10 regions, even the departments, even the community, the council areas, we are there. So we are well equipped, we are ready, and we are waiting for any other what you call elections that are coming. So we are ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tabi Johnson, 4th Vice President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. In the course of the program, you shall be giving us the take of your party on salient issues that are affecting the country, the Anglophone crisis, and the fake civil servants we have in the public service. Again, I guess when your government gets to power, they will equally have policies to address such issues in the country. Let's welcome you, Seve Kilian, an economist and a management consultant. Thank you for coming, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for inviting me, Mr. Mendes.
You are a regular face on Newsroom, Canada English.
Thank God.
Now, I want to find out from you, figures revealed recently by the Ministry of Finance indicate that Cameroon Customs Department harvested 732 billion francs CFA for the year 2017, witnessing a drop because the target for that year was 800 billion francs CFA. What explained the drop in the revenue collection of the Customs Department?
Of course, they might veer attention to say the drop may be some macroeconomic measures like the ACP agreement and so on. But I always think that the major drop comes from corruption. Frankly speaking, they will be talking about goods worker, but there are some workers even who are more goods in Customs Department and Finance Department. People just running around like errands and getting a lot of money in this country. So for me, the drop can be explained from that. But I know that from intellectual dishonesty, they will attribute it to the ACP, the agreement we signed and so on, that is affecting because of competition.
Economic partnership agreements.
That's it, but the drop is generally from that. But let me tell you, I don't believe in statistics from this government. Because when you look at the report that was passing there, the government does not know the exact number of people displaced. The government does not know the workers, those workers, or the real workers in Cameroon. You understand that we have problem with statistics, of course. And we don't even believe in the population of Cameroon today. That is stagnating between 20 and 25 million. Nobody wants to move. And if you had to study the fertility rate in Cameroon, look at young girls. At 5 years, they have children. And we have been stagnating at 20 million people, 25. It is not correct. So, for me to believe in a statistic...
So, the first thing, you don't believe in these statistics?
I don't believe in them. If you look at the level of corruption and what is happening under the table, the informal sector in this country, as an economist, I will tell you, if you go to the port where there's custom declaration, you see a lot of things happening under the table. You will see that in a day, more than 40 to 50% of the revenue goes in to pockets that you don't know. Right. So how will you come to cry here that the revenue has dropped when you have not put measure? You cannot be fighting corruption and talking about billions and you're crying that revenue is dropping. You need to be coherent. They need to say, oh, the causes are what? And for now, they're just talking this is a drop and they'll be attributing to international. the economy does not even depend only on custom revenue. It has to be depend on other things. So anyhow, they have to fight corruption. If they fight corruption, that's what I think is the main cause of this drop.
Thank you so much for coming. Let me welcome George.
And just to add that is just almost around 20% of the budget, which is 4,000 something billion. So we'll find out later where the rest of the money comes.
Thank you for coming. George Mufo, consultant, thank you for coming.
Thank you for welcoming me.
I must guess that you had to put aside some tight schedule to be here. We welcome you once again.
Thank you.
Now there is this controversial issue about the imminent closing down of Douala International Airport. The International Civil Aviation Organization has denied having advised Cameroon to close down the airport for renovation work. Besides that, you use the airport frequently, I guess. When you get to Douala International Airport, is there something lacking as far as quality service is concerned in that particular airport?
Thank you for your question. I want to say no human endeavor can be said to be perfect, and we don't expect the Douala International Airport that was constructed more than 40 years ago to be different. I think what you are similarly asking is for me to say whether there is a seaport in Douala, which is obvious that there is one, and people are using it. And just like the Douala Airport, well, what I'm saying, you're asking the obvious, that if an airport has existed for 40 years, and there are seemingly probably dissatisfaction from users, because when you talk about quality, you are talking about the appreciation from the customer's perspective. So from that perspective, customers will always have much more what they call expectations, and those expectations, if it is emitted overtly, it is the responsibility of the provider, that is the business person, to do everything to assist to those requirements from the users or customers in this case. And I want to say, instead of making the whole mountain out of what is supposed to be obvious, we should rather say that if we are going to waiting always for an international body to come and tell us how to put ourselves together, it is really not for me to sit here and say I'm happy as a Cameroonian to try to highlight or blow out such type of stories. I think as Cameroonians, we should be able to, within our various level where we operate, put the internal pressure and blow the whistle when it is supposed to be within our various domain of activity, and call the attention of those who are supposed to be responsible for maintenance. Because here what we are seemingly talking about is the absence of a maintenance culture. And in that particular case, I think it is for us to know that whether it's the international aviation or the Cameroonians, they are all passengers, and passengers have a right to demand quality for what they pay for.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's find out what the newspapers have been writing about this week. When we come back, we start our first topic for the day.
The United Nations has decried the precarious state of Cameroonian refugees in Nigeria. UN says women and children are forced to do odd jobs to earn a living. To the Star newspaper, UN High Commission for Refugee has limited funds to care for the growing number of refugees from Cameroon. To the Post newspaper, Ambazonian Bakosi warriors ordered government officials to quit Boya, else face consequences. In the midst of all this, the Star writes that Catholic bishops in Cameroon have insisted on dialogue to end the crisis. The bishops were speaking during the 43rd National Episcopal Conference in Yaoundé. Hundreds of internally displaced people from the southwest now living in Banga in the littoral region. Informatic newspaper writes on that briefly, but focus on the new measure to stop fake civil servants in Cameroon. To the paper, the Minister of Finance has improved on obligatory presentation of civil servants in banks before receiving their salaries. To Minister Louis Pomotaze, the method will reduce government's spendings on those who are not working, from thousands of fake civil servants to others with fake academic certificates. The Rambler writes that the mayor of Boya is seeking legal protection to prevent the University of Boya from withdrawing all certificates he obtained in the institution. But your Guiding Post newspaper, a court has ordered UB to stop Ekema Patrick Esunge's certificate withdrawal process. A member of the Constitutional Council criticized President Paul Biya handling of the Anglophone crisis. To the Post newspaper, Professor Paul Kui thinks the president knows the truth of the matter but has so far failed to adequately handle the issue. The former militant of the Social Democratic Front, AZF, insists that as a pioneer member of the Constitutional Council, he will serve Cameroonians and not Paul Biya, who appointed him, who has a spiritual authority to administer olive oil on others. The Rambler newspaper presents controversy over the commercialization and use of olive oil by Christians in Cameroon. To Father Mbimbi of the Catholic Church, only ordained men of God reserve the right to sprinkle olive oil on others.
Thank you very much, Maureen T, for keeping the package of what the newspapers have been writing about this week. Let's welcome Tabi Fortuné just joining us. Thank you for coming, Tabi.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you. I'm sorry. I was late, a very busy day there.
Quite a busy day with a lot of traffic out there.
A moment not to miss.
Tabi Clarkson, you are a communicator. Thank you for coming. Let's start our first topic for this day. We are talking about Cameroon Public Service. What explains the growing number of ghost workers in the public service. Now, this week, Cameroon Minister of Finance Louis Paul Moutaze has taken a decision to compel all civil servants to present themselves physically in their financial institutions or banks where they receive their salary in order to check those who receive the salary from the state without doing the work. Let's find out from Yosebe Kilian, an economist. In 2017, the government or the president of the country signed a circular ordering the government to unmask all fake civil servants in the country. Despite this, the growing number of fake civil servants exists in the country. What is the cause?
You are asking a question that has an obvious answer. I will ask you, what's the cause of the fact that Operation Sparrow has been going for long and people are still committing the same crime? It means that we are not using effective or efficient tools to fight corruption. We are simply talking about corruption here. And this is not the first time they are talking about counting or verifying civil servants. The causes, if we want to venture into that, because if you don't know the cause of any illness, you will never.
That's why we want to find out the causes first.
Yeah, the causes are that: number one, the higher school of magistrates that recruit civil servants. First of all, they have fake procedures and oral corruption. You remember the case of ENAM, that they have cancelled exams and fidgeted amounts. So and then the quality of morality, that's the moral background checks that are done in the people who are recruited. I remember when they used to write a call number and so on, you sign a bond, 10 years bond that you will work with the government, and normally there should be some sort of background checking of the people who are coming there. You find ex-convicts that are being recruited in the public service, you think that they will go and do what? So you need to, this country needs reforms. I hope that political parties that are coming up, we need political reforms, because the simple issues are that you can create all the commissions and the CONAC and the reforms about administrative governance. Of course, as a management consultant, I will talk about public management. If you don't create reforms, we are still using methods and tools of colonial days in managing our cities' affairs. So it becomes very difficult for you. I've just cited just the schools that from which we tap our higher civil servants, and then the practices of tribalism and so on that counts for people just to get what you call state agents and so on through fraudulent means. And this aspect of competence, are Cameroonians not competent? They are. Then there will be an aspect which is like a moral aspect. Rigo and moralization. Where are we 35 years after Rigo and moralization? You find out that every Cameroonian, you know, the state of Cameroon is made of all fraudulent things at all corners. You find a market called CAS. What is CAS doing? People know that they steal building material, all sorts of things to come and sell there, yet it's sitting in front of administrators. Some of the buildings they go and buy from there. And some of them are even victims of things they are bought and they have stolen back there, they go and buy. And everybody is contented with the situation. Nobody cracked down this market. You see market on the roadside with the high risk that you know. I mean, we have permitted risk in Cameroon, stealing, corruption at all levels in Cameroon. And I don't know whether those who are managing this country really think that we need the rebirth of Cameroon. There's a party called...
We'll come back to propose what should be done.
Yeah.
Let's find out from Tabi Johnson for the CRM party. You have not worked with the public service, the government of Cameroon, working with international organizations.
Never.
Was that the case there? Is that obtained?
Not at all. You see, the Americans, they are so strict from scratch to finish. If you have, we had a system. I wanted to talk about what I just mentioned, then I come to that. When they had these operations, Sparrow Hack, Mboma, Antelope, that was a waste of time. What does Mboma do? When he swallows one person, he will wait long to swallow another one again. Antelope, when he gallops, he cannot touch all the mud, so he skips some people. Okay.
Explanation.
Mboma. So all of these, they turn around to no results. Why can't we Cameroonians go straight to the point, look for something that would...
What we want to find out from you is the cause of this growing number of fake civil servants in Cameroon. What do you think are some of the causes?
It's a cankerworm in Cameroon. Lack of strict measures to counter fraud, to counter double dealing that has brought up to this situation. A government which gives no account, no checks and balances, that is always the causes of these things. From what go, in the neighborhood I was working, when you come to the country, they give you a specific task of what to do. And you follow it from morning to evening. And at the end of the day, you give a report of what you have done for the whole day. But in this government, for months, for weeks, you just come and go, come at 8, go at 10, nobody checks. So that's why Renaissance is said a rebirth. When you get the translation in English, it's a rebirth. We want to reborn Cameroon. We want to redo Cameroon. So the Cameroon Renaissance movement, CRM, is Cameroon, rebirth of Cameroon, in other terms, as it's put it right.
George Mofo, we are talking about increasing number of fake civil servants in Cameroon public service, which are definitely taking government's money without doing their real work. What do you think that is promoting this in the public service?
Yeah, again, I always stand from the perspective of being very optimistic about life. I look at life from the point of view of what is right and not what is wrong. And based on that premise, I also want to emphasize the fact that there's nothing so bad about Cameroon that something good about Cameroonians cannot reverse that. So answering your question, we are talking about a weakness of a system that is refusing to adapt to revolution or evolution, if you like. It's unfortunate that up to even if you go to the world of technology, we have moved from what is called the server to the web, now to cloud, which means that if we are still talking about data, because this is essentially what we are talking about, it means that the weakness started from the entry point. The point of entry was first of all faulty, because if you look at the situation today where we are still talking about using what they call forms to fill up information so that people are counted using a sheet, which is really an outmoded way of gathering statistics. And I want to say this is just because of the fact that somebody somewhere is benefiting from a system which is definitely static. Because how else? I'm sure if everything was going on well, we wouldn't have been talking about the fact that there is some weakness in our civil service system. Because if you look at the simple figures where salary package jumped from, I'm told, from about 300 plus billion to about 900 plus billion CFA francs, it is really alarming. The rise is too geometric, and I'm not sure our population growth is also commensurate to that. And but again, the question is both a responsibility, which when we find people who are streaming into Cameroon every other quarter to say they are coming to do structural adjustments, I'm talking about the international community, the Washington conspiracy, as I always call them, the IMF and the World Bank. You see them coming around every time and say they are coming to do structural adjustment, restructuring and all of that. And they are still giving us monies for us to restructure. You see the European Union coming every time to say they are supporting governance. You see, it's an unfortunate situation. But again, I want to say, whether we like it or not, technology will catch us. If not this present generation, the generation that is currently shouting on the mountaintops, because they are doing wonders in terms of addressing the situation. Because you can only be part of the problem if you don't contribute to the solution to that problem. Okay. And so I think fine, a new minister has come now, both in the Ministry of Public Service and also in the Ministry of Finance. So that is their own approach now to see how they can.
Yes, we'll have time to examine the approach.
Let me just chip in a bit for what I just said. I think we have about 2 solutions we can take.
We'll come back to the solutions. Let's get the causes first. And equally to elaborate on the new decision taken by the Minister of Finance in order to tackle fake civil servants. Tabi, fortunate, a young person like you, we know how difficult it is to become a civil servant in this country. Yet, government have been telling us that we have thousands of fake civil servants receiving salaries from the state. How come about?
I personally think we have a problem of the will. In the first place, that's the problem. The government is not willing to address the situation, because when you have a problem, if you wish to address that problem, you take concrete measures. And I think for many years, we've been doing, like my brother was saying there, why do you even go censoring? The censor would have started when you were recruited. You don't go censoring. Censoring is some melodrama. You are censoring people you don't even know. How did it come? How will I go counting the number of plates that should be eaten in my house when I don't even know who is in my house? How come? How did you recruit people? You don't have any sensible data about the people. You don't know when they stop working. You don't know when they decide not to work and stop. That's a problem we have. So I think we have a problem with the will. The government does not, for reasons that have been given here. People benefit from these issues. And so they kind of like cook up a sketch that they act every time, year after year, to make us think they are struggling to address a problem. If I have a problem in my house and it's so difficult for me to solve, I'll call somebody I think is stronger. But we've never seen the government inviting an independent institution from that has a CV of having checked in 1 or 2 countries. When they want to draw a constitution of a country, they call international juries and put them together with national juries, and they draw a constitution. Why don't you pick somebody? Let me quote an example. Bring a team from the Scotland Yard and say, okay, we have this problem. We spent 30 years and it's difficult for us to solve it. You will work for 3 months to fetch these people. Nothing. We turn around the same persons. We have situations where results of recognized schools in Cameroon are published, entrance exams are written, and people are published. People who died 2 months ago are published in the list. So therefore you discover that the data problem is something strategic. It comes back to what I'm saying, the will. We don't want to do it. We prefer to play a game just like they play with every other issue in the country.
Now, George Mufo just mentioned that technology will catch up with us. We are in an age where digitization is right there, but it seems Cameroon is escaping this particular stage of life. How comes that it's possible to have thousands of persons that does not work for the state, yet they harvest money from the state coffers?
Let me just take from where it started. The political will to do it would have been faster. Instead, we are not staying without doing something. If I take out the identification, the ID card that have been automated, ask yourself, and then the same as the social insurance scheme that has been automated. They are just tackling to automate the financial system, tax declaration, and so on. Why? Let me tell you, there are a number of sectors that when you automate, as he's saying, and then I go in line with what he's saying, we cannot escape from it. They created a Cameroon civil status agency headed by Fayemo Francis, that was supposed to automate the birth certificate, and that lies with what you call our penitentiary, people going to prison, people getting married. You know that there are Cameroonians who get married regime monogamy 2-3 times in the same town. You know it, and that's form of corruption. I'm simply saying that I am okay with him. With the new digital system, we will not escape it. And the only thing with this government that they are slow speed.
But what is happening today? It seems Cameroonians are already escaping from this.
Not Cameroonians. The Cameroonians have nothing. They are at the receiving end. As we have said, did any Cameroonian resist when the same place was automated? We are instead happy to declare and go and pay without getting confrontation with any civil servant. And the same thing with the tax system. They have to do it. And I'm telling you, the results of the automation of identification is that Cameroonians have been doing a lot of fraud. There are now people, after 9 years, you are renewing your card. During the 9 years, you decided to change your age manually, because as he said, there's always the beginning is always introduction by a human being. But now the system, the automation is going to catch you. If you go to what you call the police in Yaoundé, you see people lining up. Those are people that, if we're in the country, we first lock them up. Because what they did was that they changed their ages and got certificate, and they are now found in a situation. So you see how you can check those systems. If from recruitment of the civil servant, and that's another problem, you hear the head of state say we want 25,000 people. Well, is there any need for who gives him that kind of advice? Does he look at the aging population in terms of civil servant and know who has gone on retirement, who has died? If we automate the system and send it to all the administration, by the time you reach retirement ages, there are people who have reduced their ages manually at the civil status and because it's not automated, and they're still sitting in the public service when they are already more than 65 years old. So if you do this automation, it's going to check. Unfortunately, we are already talking about the solutions, because it's going to check exactly automatically this. We are late, starting from the Supreme Magistrate. He is a slow-paced somebody. You can see Anglophone problem where he's taking his time to solve it.
We'll come to
there are issues, there are crises that time waits for no one.
Tabi Johnson, several censuses have taken place in the public service in Cameroon, many of them. But in the year 2000, it was established that most ministries concerned with fake civil servants are those of education. We're talking about basic education, secondary and the higher education, and equally that of public health. What explains the fact that these two ministries, or the ministries of secondary education, 3 of them, and that of public health, most workers there are those civil servants?
My take on that is the desire is there, but the will is lacking. The system is built in a way that as if you come and take your own and go. But they forget to know that Cameroon remains, and the younger ones coming up must also do something. What do I mean by this? These two sectors you just mentioned, that
education and the public health.
Yeah, those are the sectors that are heavily related with the population. And now, how do we do the recruitment? If you look at what he had just said, we recruit 25,000 people. Before recruiting, measures have been taken on where these are going. But no measures were taken. Is it for partisan? Is it for political use? I think so. To let the world know that Mr. Bia is recruiting for people. But then you go around, it will not be even 25. You get the 5,000. The rest is down. But that's going to record that he has employed 25 persons. Okay, that's one part.
Maybe the rest of the 20,000 are taking salary.
Okay. How do you justify that somebody in Pell and sent to the far north cannot get his salary before he goes? How do you justify that? For 2 years. How do you justify that those 25 people will come back after 2 years, they'll come and control again? Instead of controlling at the time of entering and the time going out. So this is all boiled down to say they take the political will and put in front of the national will. because I want to stay in power, I must do that. But it doesn't work in that way. Time will catch us, as it says. Why can't we use the new technology? There's a slot card. When you come in, you slot, you enter. It is made the way that your fingerprints are there. Nobody can slot your card. I slot my card, I cannot slot your card. It's easy to catch those ghost workers. You say, okay, this month, every worker, you come in and slot your card. You cannot leave America. You come and justify that you're in Cameroon for 1 month, 2 months. No, they do that for 3 months constantly. So that will be effective. Now, if you want to go the crude way, you know that say you use the fisherman's net. You put a net at the entrance. The net will catch many fishes, more than the sparrowhawk, more than boma, more than other things, because the net is there. You cannot pass the net without catching you down. So there are many methods we can use, but these two, that catch slot card is very important. Okay. If we use that, that's a new technology. You can use that to get ghost workers, to keep away all this going using money, to get people come and do this. After 2 months they go, when they come back again, we waste money for no account. Now,
George Mufo, many people believe that this operation going on now, that the Minister of Finance have just launched to get these people, fake workers, cannot be effective because the measure has not been put in place, digitized, in order to track down this person. Do you think that the measure put in place by Louis Paul Mutaze for civil servants to present themselves physically next month to receive their salaries can reduce the number of fake civil servants we have in Cameroon today?
I think it is going to be a very tall order. I was going through the headlines of one of the newspapers and said, if you go to a forest and you've lost your way and you see a tree 3 times, it means that you are still yes, because this is the 3rd time that we are doing a census. Census means that you are counting every person one after, that's individually. And I want to say they have given 3 months for this exercise to be done. You know, let us situate the context of why there's even a reason for civil service. In other countries, it's supposed to be a neutral body where people go there as a last resort. Unfortunately, in Cameroon, it is the first aid. Most people are about to go to school, they start talking about how they want to become this or that without actually thinking that in other countries, people are actually begged to join what they call the civil service corps. So it is now becoming a political tool because by its appellation, it's supposed to be for the citizenry, it's supposed to be open, it's supposed to be neutral. And just as late as this Friday, I overheard over the radio an announcement that 850 bilingual teachers have been recruited. You know, it should not be, those are things which should not even be announced. There's a process. You know, there are times when certain announcements are made in Cameroon and people who have actually studied in other environments, they start asking whether do these people actually read the same books or the same whatever. Because you don't. There is a process of recruitment and selection and deployment. It is not based on pressure. It's not based on some political will. Yes. So when you know, up till as we are speaking at this point, there is an absolute shortage of secondary school teachers and primary school teachers. But again, we don't see that as a priority to actually come out with a clear roadmap that these are or the processes that we are going to be taking to be recruiting these people so that they fill up the gaps. Because we need at the minimum 60,000 teachers for secondary school, but I'm not sure we have up to 30,000 employed government teachers. Teacher at level of secondary education. At level of primary education or what they call basic education, we need about 80,000. I'm not sure we have up to 40,000. Now these are instances, these are sectors which are actually human resource. They absorb human resource so well to a point where if the government had taken it as a priority, but I keep on saying that there is an institution, or if you like 2 institutions, IMF and World Bank. They have a particular way when they come, and they keep, instead of they take Cameroonians for granted. Right. They come and tell you structure, stop this, stop that, align your expenditure based on needs. And you start asking yourself a series of questions. as late as also this week, the same Ministry of Public Service announced a series of competitive exams or examination to recruit Cameroonians into the civil service. Now, if they are recruiting, it means that there is a need that has been identified. Why don't they also paint that element of that gap that they want to fill, so that we know that, okay, there is a need for X number of human resources in X number of Y number of ministries, and then at our budget provision, we have this amount of money that we're going to spend for the next 1 or 2 years or 3 years, and then after that, people can be able to also, those who are interested in going to the civil service, they start preparing their minds while at the point of exit. One of us said here, you are graduating from a school that is supposed to guarantee employment after you leave, but you find a situation where while they are in the field, you start having conflict between the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Public Service, and their user ministries. You find teachers who have taught for 40 months, they have to march on the street. Either they are marching from the Ministry of Finance, or and then in the course of attacking the problem, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Public Service have to sit for look for a solution. For a proper management system, we shouldn't have arrived at those things, because it should be, you go to school, you have your what they call basic vital statistics that is taken at the point of entry. All those documentation that we filled in the way you are registering examination, as you are studying, you are passing exams, and you are moving out, there are no number of persons who are graduating in a system that is consistent. All those things should be automatic. Okay. But if it is not done, it is not rocket science that we are going to start catching or solving the problem from the effect. We solve the problem from the cause.
From the cause. Now, to be fortunate, we have cases where teachers, for example, some civil servants are transferred from one ministry to the next. For example, a secondary school teacher is appointed a delegate in a different ministry that he probably does not really master. Sometimes some of these persons that are being appointed like that, they collect salaries from 2 ministries sometimes. Perhaps that is the reason why we have so many ghost workers today in the public service.
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons why the ghost workers exist. They have been elaborated here. Something that's very, very clean about this issue. It has been highlighted, it has been underscored. The situation, that dangle between the finance ministry, the home ministry, that's the ministry under which you're working, and then the other ministry. That's to say, when a teacher is recruited and he needs to spend 7 years before having his salary, within the 7 years, he gets into other endeavors, other trials. Maybe he picks up a job in a mining company, and being agreed to, he cannot just drop it. And so the corrupt state of our country, he will negotiate with I don't know who, keep that salary and keep his job. So let me pretend to agree that some people go in out of devotion. A devoted teacher who wanted to be a teacher, who steps into school, trains himself.
And there are people like that.
Yes, he has the passion to teach, and he has the talent, and his talent is supposed to make way for him, give him money.
That's a calling.
Good, it's a calling. He gets into the misery and the torture of numerous months without a salary, gets him now into a situation. Some travel abroad, and when the money starts flowing, they keep it, they start playing the game. Now, calling them to come and line up to take their salaries, first of all, it's not professional. People, the fact that he is an employee does not mean he's a slave. We are living in modern times. Calling me to come to out there and stand like a primary school child to take my salary is not professional. We are supposed to work with time. Today, people use cards to get money and get it fast. You don't need to take me 20 years back because of your errors. And then, second thing, how long will it last? My daddy has said something. Let's get to the cards. Let's be able to slot. Okay, let's be able to. We have companies around us have come with fingerprints. I want to quote the ID process. I recently made one. The fingerprints are no longer inks. There is a system of doing it. Why not?
It's electronic.
No, it's electronic. Why not do it that way? Okay, you collect your salary on a fingerprint. You need to authenticate your salary, something like that. I don't think if I'm in America and I recruited somebody to be teaching for me and I'm paying him half of the salary and keeping half in my account, we will be able to prove that you are not the one collecting that salary using this system. The person collecting my salary will not have my fingerprint because I was recruited on that fingerprint. Those are measures. I think we can sit down, look at where the holes are, put a committee, work out how to catch the thieves. Instead of jumping up from the bed like one minister of transport did one day, Sarah decree that buses should not move at night, and 3 days after he cancelled the decree. I think they should sit down and think of it instead of doing that melodrama of saying, come to Yaoundé, I will leave from America, I come, I stand in Yaoundé this month, next month, 3 months, and I'm gone back, and the game continues.
Let me just take this message, which is a question coming from somebody watching us. He says, my name is Afoni Wifred. My question is, how many workers are in Cameroon, and how sure will the minister identify these ghost workers? Maybe you, Sebekilan, can answer the question.
That question is to be asking about civil servants, not workers.
Civil servants.
I think an attempt again, because the only source can be the source that we're criticizing. I think there are around 200,000 workers, civil servants in Cameroon, approximately. That's what I can answer. But I wanted to say something about what the few panelists have said. One thing is spoken about the scarcity of teachers and so on. Let me tell you that I don't believe in scarcity. It is fictive. And if you don't do a diagnosis, you will not understand what is happening. Many people are running from rural areas and coming to economic areas where they will do those practices in order to earn a living. And until people will diagnose why is the reason that you find many teachers in who are idling, and they are posted there without any rationale, without any need. An operational issue for a need should be before you put somebody on the field. So to talk about that one in terms of solution, this is what those people are doing, and that's where I think that the Minister of Finance is ill-placed to think that I can solve the thing from the bottom. Like in the company, you have who is the human resource boss in this government? Is the Minister of Public Service. You think that the Finance Minister can stand up and start making those measures if it doesn't work in synergy with the human resource person? Again, before the human resource team something to work with finance person, you know what he has to do? He has a lot of employers under him, and those employers are different ministries: Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance itself, and so on and so on. So you understand that, except the defense that has a different pay station where their salaries are paid directly from the presidency, you understand that. When I look at the technical structure of what is being happening, I know that it's going to fail. It's going to fail because the real corrupted people are found at the operational level of those employers. And if you start saying, okay, I'm a Minister of Finance, who will come and line up in Yaoundé, as I was saying, it doesn't work. And then one problem that is going to cause this problem is decentralization. By the time the Anglophones are crying problem and everybody is saying, no, because we did not decentralize, they're still asking people to go to Yaoundé. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Service has right to the district or the departmental representation. Why can't you do that automation and put like you have ATM card? Those places where people can identify themselves and you get it in the center server or system or cloud that is going to identify them and then we'll take from there. So you understand that there's no political will because you see the way they have been running around. They don't want to. The government delegates are still there. The governors are still there.
We'll come to that. That's a different topic for a different day. In 2006, during the civil servant census, some 45,000 ghost workers were identified. During that period, it was Benjamin Amama that was the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, and the Pulika Baba in 2006 during that period was the Minister of Finance. He told the press that government spends over 5 billion francs CFA paying ghost workers each month. That's a huge sum of money. If your party gets to power, how will you resolve the issue of ghost workers?
Yeah, thank you. If my party gets to power with Maurice Kamto as the chairman and the president of this country, many things will be addressed. First, the multiplication of these ministries is just too much. You can't get 60 ministries. The Minister of Finance can get directors under these ministries. Minister of Education, Minister of Basic, higher, lower. What do you mean? If you get Minister of Education, you get the director of this, and it works well. So all this, it boils down to get to political nomination, appointment. That's not all that. We have refused to match with the new technology. And if we are not careful, that technology will match all down. That is it. Because if a new car is being fabricated in America today, in the morning, In the evening, it's in Cameroon. That's new technology. Why can't we put into practice election, voting, counting, all we just do it manually, as if the people travel, they go out and see it. When they come back to that, to me, they have systematically refused to implement the new technology. As he said, they will catch us. We cannot catch them, they will catch us. And when they catch us, maybe, yeah, it's catching us now. We will regret, because all the years wasted, we are going to regret. And our children may suffer, because if we planted a good seed today, as it grows up, they are going to harvest it while we are not more there.
George Mofo, a consultant, perhaps your last word to end this particular topic. What's the way forward? What should be done to solve the problem?
Well, the final thing, like I said, the people who are there now, they are doing their best. It might not be good enough.
Cameroonian thinks it's not good enough.
I'm sure we have an opportunity in 2018. I always tell Cameroonians that if you stay away without voting, you allow morons to rule you, and you only have your mouth to complain. And I've decided never to complain because I always vote. So my input in this is that if a Cameroonian is outside there and think that there is something that he deserves as a citizen of this country, put your name on the electoral register, and then when the time comes,
decide for civic
the
duties.
person where you are supposed to do, and that should be the only way that, to me, we turn around, go and come back if we don't use our citizen right to effect the peaceful change that we are talking about. If you want to be pessimistic and say no, it cannot work, then you will stay on the spot and be complaining every day. But I think that if we look at the electoral statistics to know that the present head of state was elected with less than 2 million votes counted in his favor, and whether you say that we are
rolling over 20 million.
Yes, because the 18 million or the 8 million of the other qualified people stayed away without registry. And so I still think that every good change always begins with the citizens, and the right decisions are always going to be made rightly when you take a responsibility.
Thank you very much. We take a little transition. When we come back, we shall be talking about Anglophone crisis and the issue of internally displaced persons. Thank you for staying with us. We take our second topic for this day, Anglophone crisis, the fate of internally displaced persons in Cameroon. Hundreds of Cameroonians have been displaced from their villages, most especially in the southwest region of the country. This week, we witnessed several persons from Balange in the southwest region of the country Ediki, and several other villages in that locality that fled to Mbanga in the Mongo division of the Littoral region, running away from insecurity. They say it's being provoked both by the military and the Ambazuna Restoration Forces. This is the first time we have seen a huge number of people leaving the southwest of Cameroon and getting to other regions for safety. Let me start with you, Tabi Fortunate. The fact that these persons, they move from Meme division, entering Mongo division, which is in the Littoral region, that shows that the issue is not an Anglophone, Francophone issue, but problem with governance.
Yeah, it's very, very clear that the problem has never been the Anglophone Cameroonians hating their Francophone brothers or conflicting with them. The problem is that the government is not permitting the Anglophone to how do I put it, to feel free, to live like he is supposed to. And when he raises his hand in the family to say, no, I am not convenient with my bed, the way I am sleeping, they say, no, you shut up. And so the guys have been sitting quiet for long. That's why you see when there is a problem, they run back to their brothers. And their brothers don't say, go back.
Yeah.
It means they recognize the fact that you guys are really stigmatized to an extent. So you can stay here, and if the father ever listens to your complaint, then you will go back to where you are. We feel for you, but we are not the father here. You have spoken to him, and he says you should shut up. So therefore, the problem is the government. I said on one of the programs during Youth Day, the upcoming Youth Day, I said they should try the youth. They should try the youth. Maybe I see committees created. I see a couple of things created, but nobody thinks like, if we think these fighters are youth, maybe they will listen better to their age mates. That's a situation. But when we get to make the picture appear as if it's a question of Anglophones hating the Francophones, no. The situation is this: the Anglophone and the Francophones are in the same family, living happily. But maybe the bed, let's take an example, the bed of the Anglophone man is not properly made, and he wants to raise a finger, and you say, shut up. And before I end, I want to sound a warning. Today we have refugees, let me call it that way. We have people moving like refugees in Cameroon, something we've not seen for years. We've never seen in our country. They make us get used to, Woodrow Wilson said one time that you make somebody, you chain people every day. You will get used to chaining people until one day you will have chains in your hands and you will feel very convenient with it. So we are watching it. Today it's grown from people fleeing to Nigeria to people fleeing back to their brothers in the Francophone Cameroon, and we are just watching. The power in place does not want to do anything. They keep on putting masks. It's Anglophone, Francophone crisis. No. It's a problem. There's a small problem. There is a problem in the Anglophone portion, and they've raised their finger politely, say do something about it, and you say shut up, and it just can't continue like that.
Tabi Johnson, your party, we know that the government of this country has not done anything as far as like assisting Cameroonian refugees in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now we have had several other persons being displaced internally. What do you think the government should do at least for those people that have been displaced from their original settlements?
Thank you. They can do something and they cannot do something. My party, with the leadership of Maurice Kamto, who is our chairman, has proposed many solutions to this crisis. First, the cause root. You must know the cause root of the problem. You cannot start healing somebody from the head when you say the toe is pitching. When you know that is a toe, you go back to your toe and start from there. But when you take hold of things, you sandwich it to build up something, it will not work. We have a problem in this country. The government has refused to always go to the cause root of problems. We will talk of teachers. If they went to the cause root of teachers abandoning the bush to come to Yaoundé, it could have been solved. If they went to the cause root of the division of teachers, because when you solve 25,000, they might recruit 5, and the one knows 25. And that one also goes up. So now, if we come to power, we are saying that we call the parties concerned all to a round table. Whether it's federalism, we discuss it. What we will not discuss is extortionist. We cannot discuss that. We will discuss federalism and other forms. We discuss the form of the state and come to a consensus and see which is better. We force ahead with it. That means that we must get the voices of all, not few people dictating. When we get the voices of all, we can get the better Cameroon. Because I get your voice, I get Mr. A, Mr. B, better Cameroon. But I and my brother, if we insist on three of you, it will not work. You might die in silence. By the tail end, a dying horse has a last kick. So when we go back to physics, to every action, there's always equal and opposite reaction. It applies. Whether today or tomorrow, it will apply.
While waiting for this discussion, this dialogue at the level of negotiation on how to solve the issue, George Mufo, what happens to these internally displaced persons? They have been chased away from their original settlements, from their farms, from their source of living. They are seeking refuge elsewhere. In Banga, they are packed at the party hall. What should be done to these particular people at this moment before we look at the resolving the entire issue?
I think you're asking again for those unsustainable solutions where you have a wound and they take a plaster to cover it while the wound is still under there unattended to. You know, there are two definitions of fear. Fear is you face everything and rise, or face everything and run. There are people who have decided to rise up and say they will stand against their own oppressors and fight it right to the end. And there are others who have decided to run away from their aggressors. Now, whether they are right or wrong, that is beyond the issue. You are asking me the question, what do I think should be done to those who have you are just because probably what they call mainstream media had to paint those people who use mainstream transportation means they came by train, so you guys could go there easily and see them. That's why you guys are now racing all of that. Why have you people also gone to the forest and identified those who were also internally displaced within the forest?
Like in Bonga and the forest.
All of those places. Because the issue is not about looking at the tip of the iceberg and start saying that the problem has been there probably since 22nd of September 2017, when violence erupted and people started running from XY direction and the rest. There's people who have stayed in the forest for God knows how long. It's just 2 weeks ago that you guys saw people in Banga and Nai.
We know about so many people since 2016 that have been in bushes. We know about those in Nigeria, but it's since 2 years we have not seen a group of people living in the southwest and they're coming to the littoral region for safety. We know about those in the bushes. At least these are people that government can easily see and they talk to them. What should be done to help these people?
It's not about helping those 200 people who came to Mbanga. That is going to relieve the pressure or turn back the situation to the psychosis that is already created. Let me tell you, you guys sit in the urban conurbations and you are happy to make commentaries and analysis about what is happening there. If you go to a town like Bamenda or Manfe, you just see, all of a sudden you just see a group who just say they are coming, and the whole street or the whole town just start running from one direction. Where are they? Who is coming? Nobody's even standing to ask who is coming. They just run from one direction to another. That is what is happening now in those places. So you could even, okay, now we said the people from Banga, if you ask them, did you see anybody who was coming? We heard that. Every person is only hearing something. That's a psychosis that is not, even if you help the 200 people who are in the Banga place there, you don't solve what is actually happening. It's an internal psychosis. It's a psychological disposition that the people who are sitting behind there,
so what should be done?
Are not safe. What should be done is that, let us, we read history, we forget history. This is the same scenario that was happening when Boko Haram struck in the northern regions, where the military was suspecting every other person. Every other person was a potential rebel, a potential bomb carrier. But before they came to realize that the only way that you can effectively address or attack the external enemy is to identify yourself with the people and be friendly to them. So if the military don't also see the people as not aggressors, everyone, and then by the time because there are two measures. We are talking about Cameroonians and Cameroonians, and then you have a situation where if somebody in uniform dies, then you come and burn the whole village. By all means, you already create a scenario of fear. I am not here cautioning that killing should be authorized, but I'm saying that we are in a scenario whereby there is a psychosis that has been instated within the minds of the average Cameroonian who is living in the southwest and the northwest. And so you find that every time people are alleged to run from one direction to another, which should not be the case. You were talking about, when I started listening to this program, you talk about a custom duty or whatever going down and the rest. You look at it because custom duties are collected at the level of the borders or what. No external investors will come to the country to come and invest in those two areas whereby he knows that there's insecurity and all of that. So all of this, what should be done is not to look at the people who are usually looking for first aid at the level of Mbanga, is to go back to the source of why are people, first of all, frightened when they see their military people who are supposed to be first protecting them and not aggressing them.
Okay, thank you. Yoseve Kilian, we have the impression that in the northwest and the southwest, people have lost confidence in the military. They no longer run to the military for protection. They run away from the military. What is the cause?
We all know the cause. And I want to come to the result, which is displacement of people. I am compelled to be very hard critical here. My panelists have said, no, they came to the Mongo and they are hospitable. What about me and you living in Francophone for 30 years? Have they not been hospitable? They have been. But now I don't want to think that hospitality, the displacement can be analyzed. Let me look at what I'm looking. In a situation of mob, when you are running away, what determines is the proximity of the place that you feel safe that you go. And you understand why people leave from a cock and they find themselves easily in Nigeria from Kwakwa, and because it's easy for you to go there than to come into Mongo. And let me tell you the reason why people came to Mongo. Because the railway, the logistic transport main, which is the railway, which is in Kumba, was easy for them to feed there and take the thing, and they found that's the first stop point. When you leave Southern Cameroon, you are stopped in Mbanga. So when we come to television, we need to say the things the way they are. Why did they not live to Yaoundé? First of all, they don't have the means. It's a mob action that are living here at Asketa. But there's something I don't understand. We are fighting a war that we are not even supposed to start. But even those who fight war like in Syria, there's always the human relief plan, evacuation plan and so on. Our government seems to be concerned about only the military people. When they are hurt or anything, they will evacuate them. And when people run, and I will tell my panelists that what is the difference between people who run to Mbanga and they are in the party house, and those who are in Nigeria, and they didn't go to other Francophones' houses and sleeping very well. They are in the party house.
Yes,
and I want to find out whether they have mattresses and whether they have been accompanied by logistics. Critically, I want to say, I have not seen any emergency plan of the government that goes to help the population. For me, it looks like the government has said, look, we are going to oppress these people. They are all part of that secession because they have not shown those people to us. The population does not have mechanism like the intelligence services. If the strategy was for the government to come with the intelligence services and even with the army to protect the people first, and then they get the information. But now when you start shooting in the air, as you are saying, people start running air skater, and then they burn villages. At the end of the day, so for me, if they were asking for a solution number one is never too late. When people are displaced, there is a material need. Those villages that were burned, 30 billion was used in Douala Airport, and they are still coming to close. If you just take 30 billion to just build studios there in a short run, these Turkish companies are struggling to build stadia. Just in a short run, tell the people to come back. They will know that when they come back, they can see where to stay. First thing is the material, shelter, psychological need. Second thing is there is going to be longer years for us to educate these people that they have to stay back in this unit. Because most of the Anglophons said that this situation has made them to understand that Francophone, most of the people ruling us really hated us. Because even the relief humanitarian effort that you just need to put tents even somewhere and buy food and go and start giving. I'm seeing some small foundations like the Aya Foundation and the people and some other ideological secessionists abroad and the diaspora that are trying to bring humanitarian relief to these people. So it simply means that the measures the government are taking, they seem to have concentrated on the war. According to them, The only thing you ask me, what is going to happen to the Anglophone crisis? The solution is, our own is a conception, but now the solution lies on the government, and they seem to have said, okay, we'll crack down them. Psychologically, when they will get tired, they will surrender.
We know that one of the
is a very difficult person.
One of the hot zone in the southwest region of the country, Libya.
No, I wanted to say something. So
we'll come back to that.
Let me see 1 minute. Let me tell you, when the governor of Southwest has been running to Littoral, does he not have a place where to stay?
Yes.
When the one in Libya is going to Chad, does he not have a place to stay? So when the Cameroonian is displaced, the government is the regalian function of the government of Cameroon to look for where he has to stay.
Thank you very much. One of the hottest points in the struggle in the southwest region of the country is Libya division. Yesterday, the new senior divisional officer was installed by the governor of the governor of the southwest region, Bernard Okala-Bila. An installation ceremony that was we watched. The grandstand was almost empty with a lot of shooting along the road. We got exclusive images from Richard Jama Imboya, Canadian English cameraman there, sending us these images. Let's watch and Kate the speech of the governor of the southwest, Bernard Okala-Bila, on the day of the installation.
Chef for 10. On le gros passer. Arrête-moi le téléphone là. Laissez-moi manger l'eau qui se déclame là, qui est riche. Voilà.
Remember, among other things, for his efforts in promoting peace and the determined fight against secessionist terrorists who persistently attempted to take the division hostage. Farewell to the outgoing senior division officer, Mr. Ongito Zachary, who proceeds on a well-deserved retirement after several years of highly commendable services to the administration in various capacities. Of course, the outgoing senior divisional officer is not here present. You know why? Because of his health condition due to what happened to him some weeks ago. And political leaders of this land of Lebialem to advise their sons who have been misguided to take up arms against the institution of our country and who are now in the bushes and hills to come out of the bushes and surrender peacefully. We know that the majority of them have been simply intoxicated and manipulated, but this is the time for them to come out and surrender their arms so that, like in the Bible, they can be welcomed back like the prodigal son who was not rejected by the father. Administrative authorities of Lebialem Division. forces of law and order, heads of public services, population of the BLM division, son and daughter of the BLM division. In implementation of the decree that has just been read to you, this is your new senior divisional officer. Mr. Senior Divisional Officer Eta Ashu Mbokai. Take command.
Images sent to us by Richard Jama, cameraman Canadian English, in the town of Boya in the southwest region of the country. He traveled to the BLM division alongside the governor of the southwest, Bernard Okala Bilai, for the installation of the new senior divisional officer for the BLM division, Eta Ashu. We just watched the images there. Let me start with you, Tabi. The fortunate, just watch the governor of the southwest region of the country installing the new senior divisional officer for the BLM division. Watch the images of villages that have been abandoned by the population seeking refuge elsewhere. When you look at the installation, the ceremonial ground almost empty. It tells the story of what is happening there.
It's some excellent drama there, some good farce, because you discover somebody is installed, there is nobody there. It's practically the grandstand is empty, the village is empty, and that I don't know why we keep on playing games with the reality. I've heard the governor saying that people have abandoned, they should come back, and I was expecting him to say they should leave the bushes and come out and let's dialogue. That's what we hear generally. He said they should leave the bushes and come and surrender peacefully. Surrender peacefully. Why are we running away from dialogue? We continue to run away from the base of the problem, and the problem will continue. It will be getting serious and serious by the day. If we should accept to dialogue, the BLM will go back to his boom. We pretend that the guys are terrorists and secessionists, like they call them. Nobody refuses. Okay, let me go by what they are saying. If they are terrorists, we claim that we don't negotiate with terrorists, but we've seen many situations in Cameroon where we went and negotiated with Boko Haram to bring back to bring back kidnapped personalities in the country. So I'm just saying it's something.
And we didn't pay ransom.
We pay ransom. So it's really funny. If we don't have dialogue, then it's going to be very difficult to have the
Libyan. You see the dialogue the way out. George Mufo, we watch the military or the convoy of the governor of the southwest of Cameroon moving towards the BLM in the still in the southwest for the installation of the new senior divisional officer. When you watch the convoy, there is a serious shooting along the road to scare away suspected separatists. In that particular scene, that is the particular context when the government is calling on those in bushes and those that have taken refuge elsewhere to go back to their villages. Can that be possible?
Yeah, it is very disheartening, but those are the realities. And you see, again, this is the magic of technology, I will keep on saying. You see, those of us who lived the days of when multipartism was just coming to Cameroon the second time in 1990, there was reason for a lot of lies telling, especially from some unsuspecting sources. But now the images don't lie. It is looking at us directly in the eyes. Whatever we are going to say, whatever interpretation we are going to give out to what is happening out there, it is really disheartening. And like I said, every Cameroonian, I've gone to Menji. It is a situation that we should, in fact, I am a member of a board of directors in one of the microfinance that is directly in front of the police office in Menji that a month ago, thieves actually entered there and took away 6 million. So it tells you that nobody is, we can call people anything that we are calling them, but everybody is a victim to what is happening, and it doesn't help a country. It doesn't help a country. You know, we can do everything. We will still someday negotiate, and when we negotiate, these people's lives or livelihood is lost. We will not bring them back, those souls that have been killed. Why should we wait for that day when we will definitely negotiate? Because when the governor is asking people to come back and surrender, surrendering now or tomorrow, it will not still bring back those who are dead. And I'm saying that on the other side of the government, I don't think that when the government can ask for what they call amnesty or whatever thing, it makes the government weaker. It isn't make the government stronger, because at that time the government will still be determining the agenda, because they are the ones who ask that, okay, we have fought, we have killed ourselves, let us now talk the talk instead of shooting weapons left and right. And it should be now. I think now, I have friends who used to come there and tell me that it is no-go area. If somebody visits the BLM and say, where are they? They say, on the hill. Go there and catch them. Nobody can go there. How can you make a country become so frightful to its own population, and then you are coming to install somebody and say, take command to command who?
Let's continue from your last statement there. Tabi Johnson, the governor just told Mr. Eta Ashu to take command, that is in the Libya-Lem division. What should a senior divisional officer send to Libya-Lem at this time to bring about peace?
Yeah, if I got you right, they have just terminated. The man from Libya-Lem went to Indian, and the person from Manu went to Libya-Lem.
No, the person from Libya-Lem has been retired.
Yeah, and they were appointed someone from Libya-Lem to Indian.
Okay.
Whom I know very well. Okay. Now, if I look back into history, Chino Achebe, one of the great writers in Africa, he says, things fall apart, the center no more holes. You can see it from this picture. Things are falling apart. The center is no more holding. Libya-Lem, not Libya-Lem, we know of yesteryears. Today, everybody has deserted. Another one, cry the beloved country. We are crying for our country. Another one, you look before you leap, but we are leaping before we look. It means if we are foreseeing this situation, we found solutions and we cannot be here today. Go, come rain, come sun. One day, we'll sit together to talk about this issue. We have to look before we leap, instead of leaping before we look.
And the earlier the better.
Yeah, so let me come. Now, my party, I go to my party. Maurice Kamto get exposure to this whole matter. He said, instead of the meeting going there and saying empty skeletons, we could have come down, sit down, Mr. President Bia, call the civil society, call the business people, call the politicians, call the clergymen, call the whosoever, and send them to the field for reconciliation, to wipe the tears of Cameroonians first. And I bet you, if that is put into practice, you will see how people will respond and come, because there will be no person in uniform there. We'll now go with food, go with medication, go with mattresses, and say, come out, let's talk. And we'll talk. Gradually, they will start coming back to the villages. And bet me, take away all the medical from those places. If they are still there, the people will still be frightened. But if these groups who are called upon, and telling the civil society, the politicians, the clergymen, the Muslims, all put away the government officials. Don't stand again, Minister Paul to go there, to go. No, don't stand again. So when this proposal from my president, Maurice Kamto, if it's taken into order, into practice, it will work well for the betterment of the Cameroonians.
Mr. Vekila, we just watched the images there, a very tense situation still in the Libya-Lem division. What should be done at this time for dialogue to take its course?
Very dreadful images, but very shameful images for the government. Because the government must have done a good speech. It's not speaking like a francophone, it's trying to speak now English. But that's really poetry and comment, because it doesn't represent the real situation. There might be two types of people in the bush. The civilians who have run and they don't have where to stay there in the bush.
Yeah.
There might be those who are sensational with arms. He is asking who to surrender. The people who are asking for the army to protect them, they are in the bush, that the new divisional officers should go and look for them. Or the terrorists that have arms, that our army will armor car like that, they are going to dig them and end the war. My challenge is that they have not done their job. You know where they are, you say they are in the bushes. Go get them and end the war. That is why our taxpayers' money. And I noticed that they are shooting in the air when they know your enemy. Before going, they are wasting our bullets. The last thing I want to say is that when we talk like this, I'm afraid that political parties will never change the situation, be it of the opposition or what. I have noticed something with political parties. Let me start with this recent convention of the party. There are two grand groups, sociology, two big groups, the Anglophone and the Francophone. When the MS, when the CRM,
the Cameroon Renaissance Movement,
and an Anglophone is fourth vice president. I want to tell you that whether your president is ill-advised, let me tell you this, an Anglophone elite, whether you know or not, that has that problem of positioning. We cannot be marginalized like that. And then your president, I watched him very well, he started saying, the first president is Yaoundé man. That would start from tribes. Second,
no, Yaoundé.
We're not talking about
the first is from North, from Far North.
Let me finish.
Yeah. Briefly.
So,
second is from center.
My point is that an Anglophone cannot be fourth. They should start thinking about this. It's the same thing. When we had the Federal Republic of Cameroon, there was a president and a vice president. And any party that wants to pretend to sympathize for Anglophone, they should start in that structure, trying to accommodate that.
Let me just a second. We thought of this, and we came to a consensus. The Anglophone is the Secretary General of the party. In terms of structuring, he's well placed as administrator. The Anglophone is the first vice of the youth president. The Anglophone is Secretary General, is the president of the women. Anglophone is Secretary General of the women. So see the positions. So that side being first, second, or third, fourth, it doesn't really matter. What I need is who can deliver the goods. You can be first and the fifth deliver the goods because of experience and all of that. So that is not even important.
Let's go back to our discussion.
I was about to say something. Like we were talking the other time, that those who are in the BLM, I want to exaggerate. I want to exaggerate by asking a rhetorical question. What is the military doing in the Anglophone zones? What are you doing on the streets of Oya? What are you doing on the streets of Bamenda? What are you doing in the BLM? We would have wanted them to be, maybe they say some people will attack the delegate of this. Be there, secure the delegate. You're moving on the streets, you're creating situations where when we see a military man, we run away. And that's a situation that can never change. When you hang around the streets, the market, the areas where sometimes even the churches, the examination centers and stuff, you are psychologically indicting the people. You are torturing the people. They should leave the streets.
The context, they will say the context justify the presence of these military men in the places you are citing there.
What is happening? Do you want to tell me, okay, that was an installation. They were afraid they will abduct the governor. Yeah, but like I know that it is permanent now for long months to see military men everywhere you go in the Anglophone zone. I am tempted to ask the question, what are you doing there? You are not helping the situation. Leave the streets. Secure where you think will be attacked. Let our streets be free. Those people they call terrorists are not. We have testimony live. People, somebody who was caught by these same men, she was accidentally wounded, and she testifies of money being given to her by these men they call terrorists. They say, take this money, go and stitch that wound fast before it deteriorates. That was when Leko Tambo, Professor Leko Tambo was abducted alongside, alongside people. So it is just clear. It's there. One day we'll have her here. It is just clear that there is no terrorist out there. There is a man who has a problem and wants to talk, wants to be listened to. And as long as we keep on pretending that there are terrorists in the streets, you put military men in our markets, in our churches, in our examination center, you are torturing the Cameroonians. A child will not write his GCE well because there is a gunman by him. they should quit the streets.
Sorry to cut you short, maybe we are running out of time now. George Mufo, we are talking about the Anglophone crisis now. The situation we watched there in the BLM division, not quite a happy one. Perhaps, what should be done now?
Economic survival, empower these people economically. You know, CDC, which is the oldest and the second largest employer of labor in this country, has been operating for more than 70 years and still focus on primary sector. What stopped them from industrializing? You know, a town, a region like the Northwest that hasn't got any, what they call them, natural resources, let them industrialize. Let them create industries. This, you find a lot of the same people who are idle. They are the people who are using what they are calling now self-defense or whatever thing. Empower these people economically, they will get work to do and they will stay away. If you look at the profile of what is actually happening, you will discover that it converges at the same thing, resource scarcity, which is created artificially. Meanwhile, we have the natural human resources that we just need to canalize and give them. Look at history, Truman Doctrine, where they had to reconstruct Europe and all of those things and open large mass of highways and all of those things and install industries. We need all of these things in Cameroon, and you will discover that people will not care who is even the head of state of this country, because people will know that at the end of the day they have what to take back home with their family after having gone to school. To me, that is the bottom line.
Thank you very much, George Mufo, for coming, the consultant. Thank you so much. Mr. Tabby Johnson from Yaoundé, Vice President of the 4th Vice President of the CRM Party. Thank you for accepting our invitation, coming all the way from Yaoundé to talk to us.
Yeah, I want to, maybe it's a take-home message you're asking for.
Yep.
Are we running up?
You can give your take-home message.
Okay, I want to say clearly that the Cameroon Renaissance movement, in other words, we say we're doing politics in a raw way. In terms of my brother, he said number 1, 2, and 3. Why would you put it in a reverse way? Because what benefits me to see my younger one go to be number 10? I have been putting for long. So it was a consensus. I tell you, I am more closer to Kamto than the first, second, and third. More closer. He confides most things to me than those two. And to come to the first vice president, he just come a newcomer. So we want to encourage people from the north to come to the party and force ahead. The second is a woman from the center. We want to encourage them. We have been there, we have seen all those things. And I assure you, go and ask. Come to confide to me confidential things more than those people. Number 2, I gave us the women's president. We have 3 minutes. The men, the women, and the youth. But it's a MISPA of the Northwest. She's the president of all the women wing. The secretary general is from Southwest. For the youth, the president is from the extreme north. The first vice is from Meme, from Southwest. So you see, but by Don Christopher is secretary of the party. I know what weight Sigina holds. All the files are handled by the general.
Thank you so
we are
much.
2 of us there.
Thank you, Tabby Johnson, the Vice President of the CRM Party. Thank you for coming, Tabby. Fortunate. Thank you for coming.
I'm not, and I wanted to say that by the end of the
long enough time.
Just 1 second. I think at the end of this roundtable discussion, when we are going out, I want to assure them that you people are belonging to my party.
Thank you so much.
So I'm very happy to welcome you.
Museve Kilian, an economist management consultant. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you very much. I think the topics were really challenging, and I hope that at the end of the day, our audience are satisfied, because our job is also to give our audience is both the people suffering and the government. Even though we have the impression that the government listens to us and get 1/4 of what we say, but we will continue to talk.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank our technicians and equally all of you who watch us and send us messages. We do appreciate. Tune in tomorrow, same time from midday to 1:30. You shall watch a rebroadcast of this particular edition of the program Newsroom. I am Dominique Memengwa Kimo, wishing you a nice weekend.